Hey guys, it's Chelsa Messenger with Picks and Parlays. We're talking baseball and we're doing it rapid fire style, which means we're going to go down the line, pick a few games, and hopefully give you some winners. And if not, at least some good information to base your bets on. We've got Dan Kaiser here. Dan, let's start with Tigers and Royals. Tigers are minus 110 here. Total is 9 runs. Both these teams have been trending in the wrong direction. Royals 1-9 over their last 10, pending Wednesday night's game, and then the Tigers 3-7 over their last 10. So who do you pick in this one?
To be honest with you, I've never wanted to fill Sean Higgs' shoes, probably for one reason, because his
Well,
shoes
here
are
you
probably
go.
twice the size. His shoes are probably twice the size as mine to begin with. But here we go, and now I got to fill in for rapid fire. So, yeah,
Let's go.
so, to be honest with you, I'm going to have to go against my better judgment in this one, and I'm going to have to take the Detroit Pussycats in this one. I
Oh,
mean,
no.
Turnbull has not been good this season. But I think Daniel Lynch has been worse. He's allowed 8 runs in basically 2/3 of an inning his last outing. He's not pitched well. Both teams struggle at the plate, but Detroit just seems to have those games where they do hit bad pitching, and I think this will be one of those games where they hit bad pitching. I think Turnbull, he'll do enough, keep the Tigers in this game, and they'll win it late. So for whatever reason, and everybody knows I hate Detroit teams, but I'll take Detroit in this one.
I think it's saying something if the Tigers are favored. I think Vegas is trying to tell you something if the lowly Tigers, who have only won 11 games this season, are favored in a game. So I think that alone is telling. And Spencer Turnbull has a 4.74 ERA. Daniel Lynch, as you mentioned, has very much struggled with an 18.56 ERA. Obviously, a small sample size there, but the Tigers do have some guys that can at least hit some home runs here and there. So I'm not going to talk you off it. That's definitely not the prettiest matchup on the slate. So let's get to the next one. We've got the Cardinals going against the Brewers, and every time I see these two meet, I just automatically think under. Total is nice and low here at 7. We've got Milwaukee favored at minus 130 because Corbin Burnes is making his triumphant return after being on the COVID list, I believe. And then it's Jack Flaherty going for the Cardinals. Who do you like, or what's the play here?
Yeah, as you say, every time you look at these teams, you think under. Or every time I think Milwaukee, I think under.
Right.
But for 2 reasons. One is their pitching and their bullpen is outstanding, and 2, they just can't hit. And with Yelich not in the lineup, it just makes this lineup, even more impotent. So, yeah, I'm taking the under in this game. I mean, Flaherty, he started out the season, he got rocked early in the season, but he's allowed 3 or fewer runs in all at one start, which was the first start of the season. Milwaukee just can't score, and their bullpen is, you just don't. All they need is, and usually you only need 5 innings out of their starters, and the bullpen takes over. Burnes, I mean, he's outstanding. Last time he faced the Cardinals, he pitched 6 shutout innings. The under is 4-1 in Burnes' last 5 starts against a team with a winning record. So it doesn't matter who he pitches against. He shuts them down. And I'm not sure if he'll shut down the Cardinals in this one. The Cardinals are playing really, really good baseball. I'm taking the under in this one, but I would also lean to the Cardinals to get this one late, just because the Brewers just can't score.
Right. I think when you're talking about low-scoring games, the underdog is always worth a look, because runs are at a premium. And if you're getting a good price on a good team like the Cardinals have been, they've been red hot. I think they were atop the division, I think, there for a couple of days. And Jack Flaherty is 6-0 with a 2.83 ERA, which doesn't sound good compared to Corbin Burnes' 1.53 ERA. But he's just 2-2. So when you're looking at some of these pitchers, you've got to look at the run support behind them, and the Brewers have not been that. Brewers also strike out a ton, 28th in the league in strikeouts. On, I guess, if you flip that around, bottom line, they strike out a lot. I'm trying to get these numbers out. But yeah, and Jack Flaherty, I think, is worth a look for a strikeout prop here just because the Brewers strike out so much. But I think the under is the way to go. Let's move on to the next game on the card. We've got the White Sox at minus 131, and they're going against the Twins again. Over under is 7.5 runs. Who do you like here, Dan?
Since the start of the season, I've been a White Sox guy. I've not a La Russa fan. I think they should just get rid of the old man right now before he costs them too many wins this season. I mean, I went through a lot of things with a family member with dementia, and I think he's very close to having it. But that's for another story. It's for another show. But I mean, listen, I think Lance Lynn. What can you say? I think he's found a fountain of youth in Chicago. This guy's just been lights out for this team. He was off a little bit with I think an injury. He came back and he's just throwing BBs and shutting teams down. This is the Chicago offense. I mean, come on, you lose Eloy Jimenez and you lose Louis Robert, and you think, oh, what are they going to do? How can they come back? And they just keep scoring runs. They have a plus 59 run differential, which is the best in Major League Baseball right now. They got the best pitching staff, starting pitching staff in baseball. I mean, their fifth starter is throwing a no hitter this year. Their pen is starting to come around. And I look at this Minnesota team. This Minnesota team is supposed to be, one of the best teams in that division. And the huge disappointment. They can't score runs. Despite everything you can say about the White Sox and why they shouldn't be doing what they're doing it. I'm going to take the White Sox in this one. Lay a little bit of the juice in this one, but I'm taking the White Sox to win this one again.
Yeah, it's hard to go against the White Sox just because all their numbers are so good. As you mentioned, they have the best starting rotation ERA in baseball. Lance Lynn, a big part of that. 3-1 this season with a 1.52 ERA with 35 strikeouts to go along with it. And it just seems like it's a different guy every night that's being the star of the show when it comes to the White Sox lineup. It's not really one person, even though for the first part of the year it was Yerman Mercedes. He was on an absolute tear, to start the season, still is. But so many potent bats in that lineup. Minnesota, I believe, is still without Byron Buxton, who he started the season super hot as well, but a big hole in that lineup for the Twins. I just think the White Sox are the better team here. Not a huge juice on that, so I think at home you take the White Sox. All right, next up on the card, we've got the Marlins. Total is 8 runs. Diamondbacks are minus 105. And then you've got Merrill Kelly for the probable starter and Trevor Rogers going for the fish. Dan, what's the player? Who do you like here?
To be honest, I like the under in this one. I mean, I didn't say this earlier, but also, it's getaway day. A lot of these teams are this. It's the end of the series. So they played last. We're filming it now, so they're playing tonight. Now they got to play a day game or whatever. And teams are getting away, and sometimes they rest players. I mean, Rogers has been really good this year. I mean, both teams struggle to score runs. I've looked at like the last 10 games, and both teams, they just don't put up a lot of runs. So thinking, who knows, not knowing exactly who's going to be in this game and playing, I'm just gonna lean the under in this one. I mean, these teams aren't scoring; they don't score a lot of runs. Some good pitchers. Both teams have some good pitchers going. I don't see a lot of runs being scored in this one. Not a lot of effort. I'm taking the under.
Right. I think a first 5 under is worth a look as well, just because when you have high strikeout guys like Trevor Rogers is, he's averaging more than 12 strikeouts per 9, which is very high, well over the league average. 4-2 with a 1.89 ERA, 50 strikeouts so far this season. When you look at guys like that, in order to strike out batters, you have to throw more pitches, and sometimes it means these guys don't go quite as deep in games. So I think I will look at a first 5 under here and just hope Merrill Kelly can at least be decent. The Marlins for most of the season have been a bottom 10 offense. So I think if he can keep it under, it'll probably be 4. If the total is 8, I would imagine the first 5 is going to be 4. Let's take a first 5 under 4. And then finally, we're looking at Cleveland and Seattle. Cleveland, who I think Zach Plesac is on the mound. I think he was the starter when Rodon no-hit the Indians, if I remember correctly. And then we've got Chris Flexen on the mound for the Mariners, 3-1 with 3.78 ERA. Who do you like here? What's the play?
Well, it's Cleveland, Seattle. I mean, can either team hit? I mean, can either team hit? That's my thing. To be honest, for this today, it'd be Wednesday. I did have the over in that Cleveland, Chicago Cubs game, thinking 2 bad pitchers. I mean, if Cleveland can't hit Zach Davies, who can they hit? And Seattle hasn't been able to hit anybody anyway. Again, it's another game. I'm taking the under. Cleveland's going out to Seattle. It's going to be a late game for them, body clock wise after the flight from Chicago. They haven't been hitting all year. Seattle doesn't hit well either. I don't care who's pitching. I don't see these teams scoring a lot of runs. I'm going to take the under in this one.
Right, now that I think about it, haven't both these teams been no hit this season?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, I think that there's your answer there. Not knocking, some of these starting pitchers, but it seems like the Mariners get hit no hit every single year. I think they have the most no hitters against them in all of baseball over the last 3 years. Fun fact. Yeah, I think the under's worth a look here, especially when you're talking about out west at the Mariners, where their over/under record is 7-9-1 with 9 games to the under this season. We're still waiting on a total, or it looks like 8 is the advance line. So 8's not super low. So that's going to do it for Baseball Rapid Fire. We are just firing on all cylinders over here. Great stuff from Dan Kaiser as always. Dan, thanks for joining us. We've got a promo code. The code is RED, R-E-D, for 20% off the entire site of picksandparlays.net.